Welcome to Coding Literacy Flakes 15 of 40. We'll look at CSS Part 1, Appending CSS to HTML. CSS is an add-on language to HTML. HTML only allows your web pages at best to look like a fancy word process page with colors and hyperlinks. But we want more than that today. If you look at web pages, especially newspapers, whatever, they look like glossy magazines. In order to achieve that, HTML is restricted. You can't do that with HTML. So they've invented CSS, cascaded style sheets, to add to the little bits and pieces that are needed to make the publications occur the way you want. To give you a good example of that would be, I suppose, W3 Schools. Here's W3 Schools, and it shows you what CSS does. Now, this text here, welcome to my home page, etc., etc., all this stuff here, that's ordinary HTML. But they've used CSS to change the style sheets at the click of a button. So here's style sheet 1. That's what it looks like. The same text, nothing changes, but the styles do change. So it looks like the same type of writing, the same HTML. The styles are changed. Another click of a button, we have changed the style again. The fourth one, there it goes again. Let's change again, and that's what it looks like without. So that's without the styles of CSS. Okay, so that's the difference between CSS and just using plain HTML. Nice little example there. To start off, we have to go to a text editor. I'm using Notepad++, but you can use anything you want. I am going to be using, from this point onwards, HTML5, so doc type HTML. That indicates the browser that I'm going to be using, HTML version 5. The rest of it's the same. Let's look at it. HTML indicates the browser we're starting a web page. /HTML indicates the browser that we're finishing a web page. The web page is finishing. Now, HTML can be uppercase or lowercase, doesn't really matter. I'm going to indent purely for coding etiquette, to make it easier to read or to decode when things go wrong. Now we'll use this head. The head means this section of HTML will not be displayed on screen. Well, it's behind the screen stuff. So that's start and stop behind the screen. But this stuff here, the HTML stuff that occurs between these two tags, will be displayed on screen. That's the body tag. Okay, so that's what we're working with. We've got two sections here. Now, I'm going to indicate to the browser that we're going to use additional language. In this case, we'll be using CSS. Now, the CSS indication is a style. It knows now it's got a style sheet, and it knows it's going to be CSS. CSS on, CSS off. That's the style sheet. Okay, so we're ready to go. That's the basic structure for HTML with CSS appended to it. Okay, let's put some CSS instructions there. There's a whole bunch of new language being used here. One of the first languages you're going to hear about is the class name. You can put different publications with the color, the size, the font, any other types of publications you want into a class. You've got to give a class a name. You'll only call this class box 1. I could call it anything I want, but it's box 1 I'll be using. It doesn't really matter what you call it. Okay, but dot in the front is important, that it knows it's going to be appended to a HTML tag. Now, to start the particular class, you have multiple classes. Just doing one for now. You use a brace. Brace means we'll start the class of publications, the declarations they call it, right, in between those two braces, and that's, we're ready to go. Right, the first thing, there's a lot of styling properties, okay, and we'll see two today. We'll see the border. Border is a styling property, and that's got a colon at the end of it, and we've got background hyphen color. Let's put the American way color. Those two things there, border and background color, are styling properties of CSS. Okay, let's put some values in there, because on its own, styling properties don't do a thing. So let's put a value in there, 2 pixels. 2px means 2 pixels, so the border is going to be 2 pixels wide. it's going to be a solid border. Now you've got a lot of choices with borders with CSS. You can do solids, you can do dotted, you can do dashed, etc, etc. Okay, and I want to put a color on it. Now we're going to use hex code for color, RGB. So FF is the R part, 00 is the G part, 00 is the blue part. Use 2 hex codes for each part. Now F means on, full on, a value of 16 if you like, and 0 means no, so no blue, no green. Okay, each of those styling properties, right, border plus its value, must finish with a semicolon. Let's put some values here too. Some values here might be or just simple color. So I want yellow, so yellow is a mixture of red and green, but no blue, must finish off with a colon. That's a very basic style I'm going to use just for introduction, and let's use it on something. Well, I'm going to use HTML H2, which is the HTML code. This is my first CSS page, H2, in the end of the headers, right? This is HTML for right now, but now I want to engage some of that CSS. Okay, and to do that, I'm going to put inside a tag called div. I'll divide the bits into little blocks, so I can move it around the screen. But for now, the division, I'll be using class equals box 1. So that's why it's important to put a dot. Dot box 1 means we're going to add the box 1 to the div part of HTML. Okay, and then we're going to switch off the div part of the HTML, and I'll put some instructions in. The instruction might be check this out. There you go. Check this out. That's my instruction, and I'm going to save that. And I want to save that as CSS1.html. It's still a HTML page, don't forget, but you're adding CSS to it. And let's have a look at it. This is what it's going to look like when I run it. I'll run it in Chrome. And there it is. There's my text editor, and that's my first, well, HTML with CSS. There's my little publication there. Okay. Again, I could change it. I could get rid of the red if you wanted to, right? And put in blue. So long as there's 6 hex codes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2 for red, 2 for green, 2 for blue. That should change around. I'll save it there. Go across to my browser, refresh it, and there's the blue line right around it. Okay. And if you want to get more colors, just a reminder that you can go to the color charts. There's this one here, color picker. Now the color picker gives you the codes you want. Now if you want a blue or different shades of blue, it tells you there's a hex code there, right? If you want red in particular, a red color, get right to the corner there. Oh, there it tells you red, full on red, right? Okay, you get different shades of red. And the good part about the www.colorpicker.com, color spot the American way, it shows you which colors go with the complementary colors that go with it too. So that's pretty handy, especially when doing publications. Okay, so that's it for now. Thank you for watching.